King Solomon was the wisest man alive. He was loved by Yahweh, and he built Yahweh's first temple. That's the warm and fuzzy that you hear in church. But what happened at the end of Solomon's life? That is the real lesson. You're going to want to stick around for this, because this is a tale that is just wretched. It is as far as you can fall from grace. And I'm going to warn you right now, this tale includes a story of ritualistic child sacrifice in the name of other gods. So this is going to get ugly, but we're going to open up our Bible and take a look at the end of King Solomon's life. So we're going to pop into 1 Kings chapter 11 today. This is one of those things where if you don't know the context of it, you skip right over it and you go, okay. But once you unpack this, you'll see that this is just awful stuff. And that's why. So it starts out, it says, King Solomon loved many foreign women besides Pharaoh's daughter. So he was actually married to Pharaoh's daughter. Then he married other women from Moab, Ammon, Edom, Siddim, and even the Hittites. They really don't like the Hittites, and there's a reason why. So he's the wisest man in the world, but yet one thing got in his way. His little friend down below. It has a mind of its own, apparently. But let's get back to the word. So it says, yet Solomon insisted on loving them anyway. He had 700 wives and 300 concubines. And in fact, they did turn his heart away from the Lord. And being a married man is rough enough, but having 700 women to please has got to be tough. So they went ahead, in his old age, he went ahead and built them temples to their own individual gods. So it says that he built temples. Solomon worshipped Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and Moloch, the detestable god of the Ammonites. In this way, so he refused to follow the Lord completely like his dad David did. So why were the gods of the Ammonites and the Moabites so detestable? So it says right down below me here that Solomon built such shrines for his foreign wives to use for burning incense and sacrificing to their gods. And if you skip over that, you're like, okay, no big deal, you move on to the next sentence. But sacrificing to their gods was something that's just horrible even today. Moloch, the god that they called detestable. The reason why they called him detestable was because he demanded the firstborn child to be sacrificed to him. And this is going to get really brutal, but this is just history, guys. So what they would do is they would take the firstborn son and they would put him in this statue of Moloch. The statue was made of bronze, and they would set it on fire, and it was severely hot. And let's just say that bad things happened there. So let's move on to back to his word here. That's a little heavy, isn't it? So the Lord said he was angry, super angry with Solomon. You don't want God to be mad at you at all. But he said that basically, since he hadn't kept this covenant, that he was going to rip his kingdom apart. But he wouldn't do it with his own family. He would do it with one of his servants. So in the end, the wisest man who ever lived ended up losing his kingdom. It was split into two, to the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. The temple that he built for Yahweh ended up having golden calves built by Jeroboam and placed in it. So it was even defiled, as well as those other temples that he ended up building for child sacrifice for his wives. And in the end, the temple itself was destroyed by the Babylonians. His people were exiled to Babylon. Did you know this about Solomon at the end of his life? I mean, have you ever heard a sermon about this? Or, I was a Freemason for about a decade, and they talk about Solomon and all this great stuff, but no one ever told me about this. And if you're a Freemason, did you know that Solomon also used those same builders that built the temple to build altars for child sacrifice? I'd love to know. Please drop me a comment there. And if you guys like stuff like this, do me a favor, hit the follow. And remember, Jesus is enough, and you're complete in him. You don't need any extra junk.